For 2 decades, Benjamin Netanyahu has run on one idea: I'm the shield, not the court, not the generals, not Washington. Me. And for 20 years, Israelis believed him. Enough of them, but anyway, tonight, the shield is most definitely cracking, and the cracks are very much visible. Not from a missile, not from a courtroom, but from a signature. In Switzerland, of course. Because the man who built his entire career on war just watched the war get taken away from him by his very own ally. And here's the math nobody in Jerusalem wants to say out loud. Elections by October. Likud polling at 23%, down from 35 3 years ago. That's not a slump, that's a collapse. And the formula that always saved him before: run hot, run scared, run on the enemy at the gates, just hit a wall named Donald Trump.
Without us, without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a great country. It was a country where you had professors, doctors, lawyers. The great intellect was in Lebanon. Now it's terrible. I would say of all countries, they've been treated the worst. And they can't defend themselves. And they have Hezbollah, which is a problem for them. So, no, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah.
You heard him, and that's because buried inside the US Iran deal is a single line about Lebanon: stop all fronts, no exceptions. For Netanyahu, that line is basically everything, because Iran is always the headline. But what about Hezbollah? Hezbollah was the campaign. The rockets aimed at the north. The towns evacuated for years. The enemy close enough to feel. And Washington just said, leave it alone.
And in some ways, very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members, Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path, but to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump.
So Netanyahu did what Netanyahu does the best. He pushed. Anyway, days after the ink dried, Israeli strikes hit southern Lebanon. 16 dead. And somewhere in Washington, patience completely ran out. At the G7, Trump did not whisper it. He said it out loud. J.D. Vance backed him up, and then came the part nobody was supposed to hear: a phone call. Trump has reportedly lost it. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. I'm saving you. Everybody hates you. Both sides denied it mattered. Both sides walked it back. Nobody explodes like that over nothing. Think about who is saying this. Not Biden, not the UN, not some European foreign minister. Israel can shrug off. Donald Trump, the most pro-Israel president of this generation, telling Netanyahu this is enough. If Trump is done indulging him, who exactly is left? And here's where the irony gets even worse. Netanyahu has spent years warning the world about Iran's bomb, built his entire global brand on stopping it. Then came strikes. Midnight Hammer, Fordow, Natanz, Isfahan, rubbles. And now Tehran gets a deal, a clock, and a path back to the table. What does Netanyahu get? Netanyahu gets a headline: victory. But victory doesn't depend on a campaign. War does. And the war just ended on somebody else's terms. Now, here's the cruelest part of peace for a man like Bibi. Peace doesn't just remove the threat, it removes the excuse. No sirens, no nightly briefings, no existential emergency to hide behind. Just voters asking why the hostages aren't home, asking why October 7th is still not being answered for, asking why the corruption trial is still going. Wartime forgives a leader almost everything. Peacetime forgives almost nothing. So why doesn't he just break from Trump? Fight back because Israel can't afford to. $3.8 billion every year. Weapons, cover, credibility on the world stage. Cut that thread and Israel's entire strategic position changes overnight. Netanyahu knows it very well. His generals know it. So he absolutely can't divorce Washington. But he can't bow to it either because the hard right is watching. His coalition is watching. His opposition is highly critical. And to them, restraint doesn't look like wisdom. It looks like weakness. So what's left? One middle path, the most dangerous kind. Troops stay in the Lebanon buffer zone. Covert strikes continue. Quiet, deniable, calibrated. Loud enough to look tough for the cameras. Quiet enough that Washington can look away. It is not a war. It is not peace. It is a man trying to govern a country from inside a box he built himself. And Lebanon is not staying patient. Tehran has said plainly, peace on every front or no deal at all. Hezbollah itself has signaled the same. Stop hitting us and we stop too. Even Israeli officers quietly are saying the same thing, which means real calm, actual lasting calm is sitting there, within reach. For the first time in years, that should be the good news for Israel, for Lebanon, for everyone except the man who has to win an election by October. Because Benjamin Netanyahu understands something most politicians never have to learn. War, it creates leaders. Peace creates critics. And right now, as Trump pushes the deal forward, as Vance demands restraint, and as protesters stay in the street, as the clock ticks towards October, Netanyahu isn't really managing a war anymore. He's managing peace. For a man who built 30 years of power on being the one who keeps Israel at war footing, that might be the one fight he never trained for. And that's all from my side. That's me, Ria Girdhar, signing off from Times Now Digital.